So what we're going to do is I'm going to style it kind of section by section just so we can see how it's looking over here. It's kind of not clumped, and you'll see what I mean by clumps in a second. Hopefully at the end it's going to be very juicy with curls. So what I've done is I've sectioned her hair off. I've done it in these, how many sections? 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. Got about 4 sections going over here. And I'm going to take the section over here at the back. I'm going to apply product section by section and just kind of work it in there. You can already see this is like forming into some beautiful curls without any product. That's just, the product is really just there to kind of lock that into place. Keep repeating this, and this is like worth repeating, that's why we do it, is that product needs to go on 100% wet hair. So I'm just using a normal spray bottle to kind of spray your hair down so that it's absolutely wet, that little section. And then I'm taking the tiniest amount of gel and I'm just going to work it through that section, applying it to that section. What I'm doing is I'm looking for that kind of clumping action. Those are clumps. So that's what we want. Now this is part of like what they call a little bit of curl training. What you're going to do is you're just wrapping that clump. So you take clump by clump, wrap it around your finger and just pull it. Alright, so this next clump over here looks like it wants to come together. Clump by clump, pulling it through. So this is what they call curl training. Just kind of pull that through. Make sure that you are getting product right to that end part, particularly if you're transitioning, and that means like if you've been like a lifelong straightener and you want to, you know, get your curls back. Curl training is probably going to be the easiest way to do that, right? So that's what we're going to do, section by section. So we're going to go next section and just wet it down. Make sure it's absolutely drenched. The more often that you do this, number one, the better the curls are going to react because they just kind of remember to fall that way. And also, the quicker you're going to get at doing it. And you can do this in as bigger or smaller sections that you want to. Completely up to you. It's curly hair, so you don't really have to be super meticulous about it. The great thing about curly hair is that it is very forgiving, actually. Again, you'll notice that while I'm doing this, I'm not actually using any hair brushes or combs or anything on their hair. Just remember, be really gentle because curly hair is super fragile. You don't want to end up damaging it. So this is kind of what we're dealing with in the before, and then this is what it changes to afterwards. So you can already see, like, before it's even dried, that's what it is. Oh, onto the top part. What I actually did was when I took the front section over here, I just went from like the arch of her eyebrow. Okay, so you go from the arch if you want to like nail the side part all the time, something that fits absolutely everybody. What you want to do is you want to get the arch of the eyebrow, just draw your finger up and just part your hair in there. It doesn't have to go too far, okay, just as long as like, you know, it's kind of on that line, and then you just pull it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this falling here, and then this over here, this top part over here, I'm kind of going to build up and over here. You'll notice that now that I've got up to the crown over here, I should have probably mentioned this before, as I was busy training these curls, I've actually pulled them up. And you would have noticed that I pulled them up, and this is literally so that we can get some root lift over here, just, you know, make the root a little bit higher. I mean the crown section a little bit higher, and that's kind of how we're going to build. When you're done, that's what it's going to look like. From here, we're going to get our trusty hair dryer, and this is when you're going to start drying. Now, you can of course air dry it from here. You're not going to get as much lift or as much volume, so if you want your hair to be like really big and like lots of volume, I would definitely advocate for a hair dryer. I'm just going to whack this on. We're going to whack it on the lowest heat setting and also the lowest fan setting. That's just like a standard thing for every hair dryer. And then we're going to go for it. So leaning over onto the side early on, as you can see, it's just kind of pulling those clumps away from the scalp so that we can get that lift. We're bringing the hairdryer from the bottom, taking it all the way to the scalp, and we're just kind of gonna leave it there for about 30 seconds to a minute, right? If you need to pulse cold, pulse the cold as well, just so that you don't burn the scalp. If you're on a low heat setting, you shouldn't be burning the scalp anyways, it shouldn't get that hot. And we don't want to, remember with curly hair, we don't want to use extreme heat anyways. If you feel like you need to kind of pulse the cold in there, pulse it in there. And remember, this other hand doesn't do anything in the diffusion process. You can use it as a guide. The more you touch that hair and the more you kind of handle it, the more you're going to actually put frizz into there, and that's something that you don't want to do. So you just kind of want to leave it there, again, 30 seconds to a minute. Drop it out nice and slow. Pick it up again and bring it in there. And remember guys, when you're doing this and when you're using that hydrating cream gel, what you're actually looking for is when it dries, it becomes really crunchy. If you're finding that you're not getting that crunch, just try putting a little bit more in. You may have to play around the first few times just to see what your hair kind of responds to. You know it's working, and then you're going to scrunch that out, and afterwards it's going to be so soft and beautiful. But to begin with, you definitely want that crunch. So this is where we scrunch, alright? So we get our fingers in there and we start scrunching it out. And that's when you get these lovely, lovely, like you'll just see those curls kind of start opening up. And that's when you get that nice, juicy volume. So this is where you're just kind of tipping your head forward or to the sides, to the back, and just literally scrunching this out over here. And you can see they're just super soft, like I'll do this, super defined. There's none of that like stiffness going on or anything. Ultimate frizz control, like you probably can't get better than that. So I move it at the roots just to put it into place where I want it to be, and then I'm just scrunching it up in here. I'm gonna put a couple of drops of serum into here, a couple of drops. Yeah, so I normally just kind of get it on the ends of curly hair, just using a couple of drops in my hands to break up that cast. Obviously don't have to use too much. It's very different. Alright my dear, you're gonna do another hair flick. Hair flick! Yes. Trying to build height over here. I can even give you a sweeping bang. How about that? So pretty! I'm gonna turn you around so that everybody at home can see. Looks super pretty. Not like a curl out of place. And my favorite thing is that we didn't know this was gonna happen. It's my favorite part about curly hair. But also, not even a setting roller. No setting rollers, nothing. It's just, you know, twirl with your fingers. It is your natural hair, like literally, that's, you know, that's what it is. And like, that just makes me really happy.